All right, well, it's 6:03, so I think let's get started. Feel like I'm echoing to myself, but that happens. So we will call to order the March meeting of the Consolidated City County Planning Board for Lewis and Clark County and Helena. We do not have a quorum. We're close. We have 4 members, so if somebody shows up, let us know. We will go around and do introductions. I'm Quinlan O'Connor. I am chair. And then we go to online, since I'm the only one here. It's kind of a lonely room on this side of things. But Marcia, let's go to you.
I'm Marcia Idell, and I represent the city.
Adrian? You're muted, Adrian. It just became a real Zoom meeting. We have to have somebody talk while muted.
Hi, Quinlan. Adrian Cotton, representing the county.
Thank you, James.
Hi, James Sontag. I'm representing the county.
Great. The only action item on our agenda tonight is officer elections because we don't have a quorum. We will push those off another month. So then the discussion item on our agenda is the City of Helena Railroad Midtown Neighborhood Plan update. So if staff is ready to go on that, I will pass it off to you all for the presentation.
It's kind of fun to watch someone else do this. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with the planning board. Zoom and in person. So my name is Bill Grimes. I'm with SCJ Alliance, working with the City of Helena on the Railroad District Sub-Area Plan, Neighborhood Plan. We also have Victor Ramos, who is with us from SCJ Alliance too. He and I are going to be taking assiduous notes during our conversation today. But before we get into that, I wanted to provide a brief update on where we are with the process. What the process is about actually is a good start. Before the project began, the city came to the city commission with a presentation really advocating for the implementation of the city's growth policy. And one of the things about the growth policy was it called out the creation of these neighborhood plans or sub-area plans for specific portions of the community. And the Midtown area railroad district, 6th ward, whatever you would like to call it, wound up being chosen as the first sub-area plan to be completed. The growth policy had several specific recommendations in its policy framework, looking for not only doing neighborhood plans, but also providing a bit of guidance on what these neighborhood plans should achieve. In going through this process, the city also recognized that partnerships, not only in getting ready for the plan, but going through the planning process and ultimately its implementation, were crucial. And so we have this presentation to the planning board. I presume it's going to come back to the planning board before it gets forwarded to the planning or to the city commission for eventual adoption. But we wanted to provide this update to you as really a vital partner to make sure we're staying on track and to help us sort through some of the things that we're hearing from the businesses and the residents in the planning area, and make sure that we're not only looking at this sub-area plan within the context of the sub-area plan itself, but also sensitive to its position in the region and overall strategic role now Helena and its surroundings evolve. So our process kicked off about 2 months ago with a set of orientation interviews where we met with about 25 individuals representing a wide spectrum of interests in the sub area. So we met with business owners, residents, representatives from the various institutions in the sub area, and began to get a little bit of a thought about some of the topics that are on people's minds and how those began to create or coalesce into issues that the plan is going to need to address. Today, we had our second day of our studio session, which has been really surprisingly well attended. We've had conversations basically from opening our doors to closing them. We actually had to kick people out tonight so that we could make this meeting here. So it's really been a wonderful set of conversations. We'll talk to you about those in just a bit. And then we're going to be pulling together the sub-area plan over the next couple of months. So this really is a great opportunity for us to hear from the planning board as we're sorting through what we're hearing from the studio to propel us into what we need to do for a planned draft. So some of the topics and issues that came out of the conversations initially, and many, these will probably sound familiar to you if you're familiar with the 6th Ward. Malfunction Junction, people are very interested in finding out an effective way to treat the intersection of Helena, Montana Avenue, and Lindale, making sure that we're able to deal not only with the intersection's throughput needs, but also to do it in a way that's sensitive to the neighborhood's desires and needs. Also making sure that we're maintaining access to Boulder Avenue. That's a very important circulation link, particularly for the schools and for the neighborhood in the southern portion of the South Ward. That we honor the legacy identity and the emerging character and vitality of the commercial district in the 6th Ward Center, and that we also find ways to make sure that the recommendations of our plan are consistent with and inform how the TIF board decides to invest its money in public realm and local infrastructure. Also, some of the neighborhood residents were talking to us about some of the property management issues in the neighborhood. I don't know to what extent our sub-area plan can necessarily address a lot of those, but there might be some ways where we can start to tickle the idea of vehicle storage and property maintenance and make sure that it's tracking okay with the larger community objectives. This is one of the more affordable places in town to rent or buy a home. And so that's something that people that we were speaking with were wanting to figure out a way to retain as we move forward through this process, and somewhat hand in hand, making sure that we're aware of the existing character in the community and that whatever recommendations we come up with, make sure that we preserve that character and give it a fighting chance to project into the future. Also, people are very concerned about the at-grade rail crossings at Montana Avenue, yes, but also at National and Roberts, making sure that we had an awareness of the synergy and the relationships of those three, and then we start thinking about potential ways of implementing solutions. The city commissioned a 5 points intersection study that has some basic concepts that we're trying to incorporate into the study. I'm calling them basic concepts. I'm not necessarily sure they're solutions yet, but we're trying to find ways that we can use a sub-area plan to advance that conversation. Also, people were talking to us about stormwater management, which is a good reminder to us that whatever kind of a land development pattern happens, there are some environmental considerations that we have to take into account. Making sure that the zoning that comes out of this process or is recommended as a result of this process is compatible not only with the character of the neighborhood as it is today and its scale, but is also a suitable and compelling guide for future investment, and that investment really underscore the importance that the neighborhood feels to defining the Sixth Ward as a place. That there is an identity that people would like to not only respect and honor for its own reasons, but also to help elevate the district as something of a destination for the community beyond. So in response to all of that and our research and the policy sideboards that the growth policy provide to us and the urban renewal plan provide for us, we came up with some of our thoughts about a spatial vision. And I believe the planning board members have already been forwarded this, so you're somewhat familiar with this already, but we wanted to make sure we had this display at the studio so people coming in and visiting with us could have a chance to dissect what we're saying, what we're understanding, what we're inferring based on the conversations we're having, and course correct this. You can see I do already have one strikeout on this vision board as a result from our conversation. I deleted the word rail from one of our district names. So this is designed to be an interactive and refinable vision document, but it seems after the conversations we've had to be tracking relatively well. What we are really looking to be able to do with this is not only to create a vision for the district as a whole, but also to acknowledge that there are several neighborhoods within the district that contribute to its identity, and each has a slightly different character, slightly different functional expectations, and a different constituency. And we wanted to figure out ways we could articulate some of those hopes and aspirations and concerns that are more neighborhood specific. So that's why we have the vision constructed the way that we do. Now we understand this is probably one of the least exciting exhibits we've ever made, but it is the zoning map. And when we were taking a close look at the community zoning in the Sixth Ward, we found that there were areas where it wasn't necessarily an accurate reflection of the aspirations encompassed in the vision that we had pulled together. And so we're looking at ways that we can begin to reconcile that so that we can make recommendations on zoning, land use patterns, transportation investments, and all of that stuff in a way that's more compatible with the community's vision. So we are going through this parcel by parcel look at zoning to make sure that we have consistent representation, maybe some recommendations on how to tweak zoning districts to attain the vision. But we also don't want to go too far down that road without having an opportunity for the community and by extension, the planning board to guide. I keep looking at the empty chairs and the planning board to guide our hands in how we begin to reconcile the differences between today's zoning and the vision for tomorrow. And so we developed a series of scenarios responsive to what we've been hearing in the conversations. One of the scenarios really emphasizes family friendliness and how we can create a framework and a series of investments that really do facilitate that kind of safety, tying together the community's institutions, the parks, the trails, making the streets safer, really acknowledging the needs of the people who appreciate family friendliness. We're really trying to make this a hometown, a place that's safe and comfortable for families. The second scenario is about prosperity. And this scenario reflects what we've been hearing from business owners and residents in the community to really make the commercial district in the Sixth Ward sing. You know, what can we do to really position it best for success? Success as a local neighborhood center, and also success as a citywide or perhaps countywide destination, so people can come to this place and really benefit from the services and the entertainment and the shops that it offers. And in so doing, also recognizing its historic character and its somewhat edgy vibe and how we pull that into this overall mix. So the second scenario really focuses on that. And there are several initiatives that would be attached to that so that we can increase the level of housing in immediate proximity to the commercial district, then also create something of an arts district that would be attached to this, taking advantage of this. Yes, the character that the railroad frontage provides us, but the way it's been manifesting into small manufacturing and shops and some artisan opportunities here, really beginning to amp that up. So anyway, so that's where we come with the prosperity scenario. And then the third scenario is one where we reflect on that 5 points in transportation study, and we reflect on some of the conversations the city has been having with Department of Transportation over the years, and looking at how we can prioritize movement to and through the district to satisfy generally regional mobility needs. And so it emphasizes the smoothness and efficiency of the transportation corridor, Highway 12, that works its way through the district, and then also Montana Avenue North. And finding ways, again, that we can still recognize the need for pedestrians and cyclists coming into this area, and augmenting existing corridors to the extent we can to accommodate people on bikes or on foot. Because of the level of expense embedded in the underpass that is included in this scenario, we understand our partnerships will also likely be involving Burlington Northern or Montana Rail Link, whatever their name will be down the road, as a significant partner in making it happen. And so we also have the Roberts at-grade crossing closing as part of the scenario, so that we can entice the type of partnership necessary for the underpass to occur. So what we did with our studio and for those of you in attendance, we have the boards that we brought over from the studio. We asked people to take a look at each of these scenarios, understand more about the narrative, and then offer us some comments. And we've received quite a few comments in the form of sticky notes, what they like about the various scenarios and what they would suggest we manage differently with the scenarios. So what we tried to do with these is we tried to give it our best shot in crafting a vision story for each scenario, what the priorities are going to be, and what the consequences might likely be according to each. And so these have been the seeds for some wonderful conversations during the course of the studio. Conversations on this are not done. And this is something that I wanted to make sure we had available to the planning board, perhaps to work on tonight, but it's probably going to be something we need to hand over to the board to take a look at and work on here and get back to Mike in the next week or so. But we do have a worksheet, which I'm happy to provide to the chair. What it has is that it has this vision sheet on there. So you'll have an opportunity to be reminded of what the vision is proposing, and then can check us on it. Make sure that it's your first reaction, it's good, you're indifferent to it, you don't like it, whatever, you're able to let us know. And then you can tell us how we might be able to refine it. And as board members are looking at this, I would ask that you pay very close attention to what might emerge as distinctions between the various neighborhoods included in the 6th Ward, and make sure that we're getting it right. In early conversations with Michael, when we were kicking off this project, he acknowledged that the policy framework we have in the growth policy is actually pretty solid. And so what we need to do with this is we need to focus intently on implementation. So those excerpts about what the individual neighborhoods are aspiring to be are the kinds of things that are really going to help us figure out, with as close a degree of detail as possible, what kind of implementation measures the plan should propose. So that's one thing that I really hope we get out of this. And then the second page digs into the scenarios, and it provides board members an opportunity to, maybe, hey, there's one that really does resonate with you more than the 3. So you can identify it. And if there are things about the one you like best that you think would make it even better, let us know. Because in reality, when it comes down to it, the plan will likely be a mashup of all 3 of these things. What we need to do is we need to figure out, through conversations like the one we're having in the studio, and like what we hope to get back from the planning board on this worksheet, will help us adjust the dials appropriately. And if we can understand how these different scenarios actually begin to relate to some of the different neighborhoods within the district, we can really do a pretty good job looking at things like streetscape, or how we begin to time investment, or where we look at modifying land use districts in some areas and perhaps not in others. So that is the reasoning behind this 2-phase worksheet. So Michael, I'm not sure which is the best way for you to manage that, given the dispersal of the board members in tonight's meeting. But I'd love to be able to make this worksheet available electronically, perhaps to all of the board members. And then get a commitment from the board members to perhaps return those within the next week to 10 days with some of those thoughts. And that'll be ample time for us to be able to digest it and incorporate with the rest of what we're hearing in the studio. So our process from this point forward will be to begin drafting the plan. And I'm hoping that we can come back for a larger community-based rollout where we can bring out this plan and celebrate it and check it, make sure that it really does meet the community's expectations. And we have really heard some wonderful ideas that I'd like to be able to find a home for in the plan, so that we come back, we can show it off and indicate how responsive it really is. And then importantly, also, Michael is wanting us to get in front of the zoning commission because we think some of our recommendations are going to be really at that level of detail. So we'd like to be able to integrate the commission into that process as well. So after we go through that, we'll finalize the document as a draft and we'll come back to the planning board for review. We'll have another conversation about that and then hopefully get the board's recommendation to the city commission. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. We do have some members of the neighborhood who attended at the studio, and I think they're curious to see a little bit about how the board might be receiving this and what some of your thoughts might be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And April, if you could pull up so I can see people, again, thank you. Do folks have questions?
Chair O'Connor, just to let you know, Lois is online
Oh, great.
on the
Okay.
phone. So we have a quorum now.
Yeah, we'll get back to that agenda item after this, then that'll be great. But do folks online have questions? Comments, thoughts, etc.?
Will the sorry, this is James Sontag here. You said you did some kind of traffic research, is that correct?
I have not done my own independent traffic research other than trying to navigate my way through the neighborhood. But the city prepared a 5 points intersection study in 2021 that had a series of recommendations. And in that, there is quite a bit of information about the way the network performs today.
Okay, thank you. Is it, Mr. Chair, is it possible to get that? I don't know who we would contact to actually be able to see that. I guess staff.
Michael Alvarez, planner with the Community Development Department. Yeah, I would be more than happy to share that with all of the board members. I'll send it out tomorrow.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And maybe related to that.
Mr. Chairman, this is,
Go ahead, Lois.
Mr. Chairman, this is Lois Steinbeck, and I kind of feel uncomfortable just giving individual comments off the record regarding this proposal. And I'd like to submit an idea that after we've had a chance to look at the form that requests our input, that maybe we get back together and discuss it. I don't know if other people on the board feel the same way.
I think our comments would be public regardless of what form it takes. I think if there are comments today, and it sounds like it'll be back in front of us in the future again, and we'll have more opportunity for comment. So my understanding, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong, is this is to help move the process forward a little bit. And then there are more opportunities for more discussion and more comment moving forward. Does that address your
Okay,
concern?
then I'm okay.
Okay.
Yes, it does. I just feel kind of strange giving comments that are outside a public meeting.
Absolutely. And I think for you and for everybody, really, I mean, it would be more individual comments than comments on behalf of the board, but comments from us as
Okay.
individual board members, but the board would need to make comment as a board. And that I think is either today in this meeting or down the road at another opportunity when it comes back to us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a quick clarifying question, if I may, Chairman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Just so that I understand, between the family-friendly, prosperity, and mobility designs. Is the goal to focus on one of those designs or to prioritize those designs?
We were using those as tools for exploration. And I think looking at the Centennial Trail is a fine example of how that might play out. All three of the scenarios call for the Centennial Trail to find its way across Montana Avenue and somehow work its way through the neighborhood. So looking at the recreation or family-friendly alternative, the priority for the Centennial Trail is to make sure that it connects to Roberts, because Roberts is the key to accessing the key institutions in the Sixth Ward. So, if we're looking at the Centennial Trail through the vision of, or through the lens of family friendliness as our guiding priority, making sure that it connects the community's institutions to that network, to that non-motorized network, is essential. When we look at it from I'll skip to the mobility. When we look at the mobility scenario, the priority is making sure that we have connection from where the trail ends today to where it begins again up by the interstate, and making sure that we have a channelized connection along there. So we have that mobility element emphasized. That you can use the trail to get through this area to a destination outside of it. When we think about the trail in terms of prosperity, it is again important to have it across North Montana, but it comes into the district and then diffuses in the district. So people are actually navigating that downtown space and that arts district space on a block by block basis, and have an opportunity to experience that perhaps at a slower speed, but then it begins to funnel back again and rejoin the trail as it exits the district. So it's a somewhat lengthy answer, I think, to your question, but one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to understand what kinds of priorities will prevail given the various issues that we're facing in this district. And so we do expect that the final plan will be something of a stew of all of these things. It's just we need to figure out how to weigh the various alternatives and have them come together in concert.
Thank you. Then I would just add, if I may, Chairman, that kudos to the group for your coordination efforts. It's certainly not easy to pull that many community members together and to garner this kind of feedback. And then an additional appreciation for moving through all of the bureaucratic processes that we represent.
I find us very non-bureaucratic. I don't know what you mean. I did just have a question on the mobility plan. I think you mentioned, and it says here too, why does the Roberts Street crossing need to close, working with the railroad? And just maybe this is more curiosity than anything.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to people from Montana Rail Link, and they're telling us that they don't necessarily feel the need to close the Roberts at grade crossing the way everything is today. An underpass is very expensive, and there are local reasons to have an underpass, but there are also regional transportation reasons to have the underpass. And the railroad would be a likely contributor to the underpass expense. I don't know how much that might cost, but certainly in the millions and millions of dollars. We've understood from the railroad that having two at-grade crossings that close to each other make it difficult for them to sustain their operations as they do them now. And so if we're asking them to be a partner financially in funding the underpass, then a consequence might be actually having the Roberts crossing on the block for closure.
So it's a negotiating tool, more or
Correct.
less. Okay. Marcia, did you have a question?
Actually, my question related to the Roberts closing as well. So I have it answered.
Okay.
And I must say that I don't think we've spoken to anybody yet who really thinks that the Roberts closure is a good idea for a variety of reasons.
Are there other questions? All right, so other than feedback on this in the next relatively short, weekish time frame, what do you need from us?
Well, I think that feedback is going to be really important. And I appreciate the board members' comments about maybe coming together as a board and having another conversation about it, which may or may not involve me. But after going through the worksheets, you may find it helpful to come together as a board and talk about this. One of the characteristics about the board that I'm particularly excited about with this project is your citywide and regional scope. And I think it'll be informative for us to understand a little bit more about how the sixth ward might fit strategically in the larger picture. I mean, we have the city's growth policy, but I think there are other elements that are going to contribute to how this district functions, whether it's on the mobility side and serving areas to the valley, or whether it's going to be finding ways to really make the downtown be all it can be, to steal a phrase, but really, fulfill its potential. I think that it really relies on a regional perspective. So that's something that I'm hoping the planning board can bring as well. And Michael and I are working on ways that we can get this information posted onto the city's website after the studio is closed. And planning board members are also citizens, and we would love to get any kind of comment or feedback, even as individuals, to plug into this process.
Chair O'Connell, if I may. I believe the plan right now is to actually append this to the growth policy. So we'll need a formal recommendation from the planning board. So there will be a public hearing, discussion, and we'll need to take a formal vote from you. So.
All right, and do you have a
Okay.
ballpark on timeline? I'm not holding you to, is this a this year thing? Is this a next year? Is this a next month? I assume not.
Oh, it's a this year thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe we're slated out for end of summer, beginning of fall to bring this back to you.
Great.
Yeah. And sorry, I can give you specifics after.
No, that's okay.
Mr. Chairman, I
Go
have
ahead.
another question. This is Marcia. What are the reasons that people do not think that closing Roberts is a good idea?
I think the predominant reason for us is that it is an important local connector for people who are going to the schools, whether they're driving or walking or riding a bike. Montana is not necessarily seen as a safe or comfortable non-motorized route, and people really do appreciate Roberts. We did have someone who was somewhat ambivalent about the Roberts Road interchange, but that was because the northern neighborhood, particularly along Sanders, is experiencing some cut-through traffic where people are coming from Cedar, going through the neighborhood, and then using Roberts Road rather than the Montana interchange. And so after a conversation with that individual, if we're able to slow traffic on Sanders, then he thinks the Roberts Road at grade crossing should remain.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Not seeing any other questions, so thank you. And yeah, you're gonna send this out to everybody. Perfect.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, well, next on the agenda is other business, but I guess if we have a quorum, then we can step back an agenda item to officer elections. I'm not exactly sure how we've run this in the past. Frankly, it's been a couple of years.
I'm not entirely certain. I
Okay.
would say if anyone wants to nominate either someone else or themselves for chair, we'll start with that and we'll just proceed from there.
Sounds good.
I would like to nominate Quinlan for chair.
Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
All right.
Any other nominations? Okay, we'll just do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Well, thank you all, I think. And are there nominations for vice chair?
I would
I
like
would
to,
not, go ahead,
Well,
Marcia.
I was gonna say, I would nominate Lois for vice chair.
And do we have a second for Lois?
I'll
I'll
second.
Oh,
All right, moved and seconded. Do we have, or nominated and seconded? Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, stop banging on the microphone. Then I think we can just by acclamation, Lois will remain as vice chair. So thank you, Lois.
You're welcome. I hope I'm not absent from the meetings that you are this time, Mr. Chair. Hope I can be there as backup.
I don't think we have any other officer positions, do we? It's just those two?
To my knowledge, it's simply chair and vice
All
chair.
right, we'll stick with that. We can start electing everybody to something. It could be fun, but all right. Well, so then moving back to other business, I don't know that we have any other business tonight.
Chair O'Connell, I see for the agenda, we have public comment on any other matters. We do have members of the public that we're hoping to comment on the railroad district.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll get there. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
But we have no other business tonight.
Scheduled business. All right. And then we still have, and we expect to have, I'm understanding from April, the April 18th meeting is scheduled as well.
The April 18th meeting is scheduled. I know Greg is online. Greg, do you anticipate having anything for the planning board next month?
Good evening, board members. Greg McHale with Community Development Planning Department. We will be bringing forth to you the subdivision regulations audit for the county subdivision regulations. That project is underway and should be ready for you in advance of April's board meeting. No
Great.
action. You won't be taking any action. You'll just need to sit in and listen, and you can provide comments and questions to us and the consultant.
Okay, great. And do we have city subdivisions or anything else, or will that be or we don't know yet?
To my knowledge, there's nothing else
Nothing?
to come before you
Okay, great.
from the city.
All right, so then now is the time for public comment on any public matter not on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the Consolidated City County Planning Board. If folks want to come up and make comment, that would be great. I will say if it is about this particular topic, there will be a formal public comment process in the future. But if there are things that you would like us to take into consideration now, we're obviously happy to hear it, or any other matter within our jurisdiction. So if there are folks here or online that want to make a comment.
Hello,
Just state your name and your address for the record. please.
Rose Casey, 1422 Walnut Street. I've lived in the north section of the Sixth Ward since 1980. So I'm very familiar. So a couple of things I want to say. I'm also on the TIP board. I'm also the president of the Midtown Sixth Ward Neighborhood Association. So I've been involved in the history of this for a long time. Back when the city commission wanted the 5-point intersection, the purpose of that originally, to my understanding, was to address the need for access into the Sixth Ward and what was going on in there. But yet the study itself, as far as I know, did not measure what was going on Roberts Street, nor anything in the actual Sixth Ward. So all of that data that would have helped us in the Sixth Ward to come up with what we needed for the TIF district and for a revitalization program is missing. And now I look at the mobility and I see that the purpose of this is called the Railroad District Workshop. This whole thing is meant to revitalize the Railroad Business District. And yet access into the Sixth Ward has not changed, which was the whole purpose of this, is to increase access so that it can become a destination. And so far, what I'm hearing is, and if anybody lived in the Sixth Ward, you would know why Robert Street can absolutely not be closed. It's not on the negotiating table. It cannot be. It is a main artery for the north and the south and all sorts of reasons I don't need to get into. But so I will just say that that's really important, and that I feel that some, but not all, especially the mobility, is not addressing the original purpose of this study, which is how can we revitalize the railroad business district? How can we integrate it into the town, make it easy to go in, make it a place where that would be a destination for tourism connected with the rest of the town. So I would just like to see the main focus of this not leave out what they're really here for, which is not to reconcile everything about the highway. It's to reconcile what's going on in the 6th Ward. Because we really need some help. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Is there any online, April?
There are no hands raised online. Oh, no, we have a hand. John Andrew, just a minute and I'll let him talk.
Excuse me, Quinlan, this is John Andrew with the Helena Citizens Council and formerly with Non-Motorized Travel Advisory Council. I think you really need to reference the 5-point intersection study. It does address a lot of the previous conversation, and it talks about some of the access issues, especially connectivity with Centennial Trail. So I look forward to reviewing that myself, but I think that the board needs to spend a little bit of time with what Robert Petcha did with their study. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there further public comment? And if you're online, you can raise your hand. It's either *9 if you're on a phone, or under reactions, you can click raise hand.
John was the only member of the public.
Oh, well, that'll narrow it
Online.
down. Perfect. Thank you. All right, well, that being the last item on our agenda, we will be adjourned and see you all on April 18th. Thank you.